tight low back, underactive glutes, and weak abs. If this sounds familiar to you, you've come to the right place. Today, I'm going to show you a daily routine that will help you fix these common weak links by strengthening your abs and activating your glutes to help you build your total core.
Check these out. See these? See these boys?
The routine consists of 5 simple yet effective exercises called the Lock Base 5.
You heard of this thing, the 8-minute abs?
That in total will take no more than 8 minutes to perform.
Yeah, sure, 8-minute abs. Yeah, the exercise video.
Yeah, well, this is gonna blow that right out of the water. Listen to this.
Technique will be key, so pay attention. The first exercise, called the Lock Clam, will help activate your glutes. Start by laying on your side with your bottom leg straight. Wrap your top foot over your calf and roll your pelvis forward until your belly button hits the ground. Push your hand into the ground to help stabilize your trunk. Then lift the knee up and down. If you keep your pelvis stable and only move your knee, you should start to feel your glutes working hard after only a few reps. Whereas a traditional sideline clamshell primarily activates your lateral glute muscles to move the hip, tilting your pelvis forward with the lock clam variation changes our emphasis more to the larger glute max muscle, which has a tendency to be underactive in many people, especially those who sit all day. Now, if you're not feeling your glute working hard just yet after a few reps, here's a few things to try. The first is to rotate your pelvis slightly back or forward a little. You could also pull your foot up your calf, closer to your knee, and push your foot harder into your calf muscle. Usually one of these positional changes will allow most people to feel their glutes working hard after a few reps. As far as the amount of sets and reps to do, at the end of this video, I'll show you the full routine written out. For now, just focus on perfecting the technique of each exercise. Next, you're going to activate your anterior core to help stabilize your spine by performing a front plank. Start with your feet separated to about hip width, elbows directly under your shoulders, and hands spaced out as well. Your goal is to keep your back 100% level, so don't let your butt sag to the ground or shoot up in the air. If this position is too difficult to hold for 30 seconds, try widening your feet out for a greater base of support. Exercise number 3 is going to be a side plank. Start with your elbow stacked directly under your shoulder and your top hand on your pelvis. Having your feet stacked on top of each other will be the most difficult version, as your base of support is very small. However, if this is too tough and you find yourself struggling to hold this position for even 15 seconds, you could also perform this with one foot in front of the other. This exercise emphasizes the core muscles on the side of your torso closest to the ground, such as the obliques and smaller QL muscle deep next to your spine. Now, if you're someone who has back pain trying to perform the side plank, or symptoms trying to get in and out of the side plank position, here's a simple cue that helps a lot of people. Perform your side plank from the knees, and then think about hinging your hips back down to the ground as you finish each rep. Doing so will limit lateral spine bending that can be a trigger for some people's pain during this exercise. And if you're dealing with any aches and pains that make this routine or any other daily task difficult to perform, check out my injury fix book, Rebuilding Milo. Each chapter will walk you through a common injury location and show you the exact test and assessment I use with some of the best athletes in the world to help them figure out the root cause of their injury. Based on what testing shows, you'll then be given an individualized rehabilitation program to help you fix your injury and return to lifting pain-free. So after this video, head on over to Amazon.com and check out Rebuilding Milo. But for now, let's move on to the next part of this core routine. Exercise number 4 in this routine is a shoulder tap. Begin by setting up in a push-up position. Feet should again be hip width apart with your hands just under your shoulders. Then, push your left hand hard into the ground before then lifting your right to touch your left shoulder. Your goal is to maintain your push-up position and not twist your body at all. After a brief pause, return to the start position and repeat to the opposite side. To ensure that your torso stays level and your body doesn't twist as you move your arms, all of your core muscles on your front and back have to kick on, such as your rectus abdominis, internal and external obliques on the front, as well as the erectors and multifidus on the backside. Now, if this is still really difficult for you to perform without twisting, here's 2 regressions to try. First, take your feet and move them out a little bit more to the sides to widen your base of support. You could also perform this movement from the knees. For the last exercise, we're going to turn our attention back to the glutes and perform a prone hip extension. Start on your stomach with one knee bent. Place your hands under your pelvis and then lift your knee up and down a few inches off the ground. The goal is to use your glutes to extend your hip without compensating and extending through the low back. Now, if you don't feel your glutes working hard on this last one, and you could easily do this movement all day long, an alternative to substitute would be the double leg glute bridge. To perform, lay on your back with both knees bent. Next, push your elbows into the ground before lifting your hips while keeping your low back straight. At the top position, think about squeezing your glutes as hard as possible. Over time, you can progress to a single leg glute bridge if you want a greater challenge. However, if you feel your hamstrings cramping with this exercise, try one of these two modifications. You can push through your toes before lifting, or bend your knees more by pulling your heel towards your butt. Pushing through your toes will increase quad activation, which instantaneously decreases hamstring activation through a process called reciprocal inhibition. The only muscles left to extend the hips, you guessed it, is the glutes. On the other hand, bending your knees more shortens the hamstrings, meaning they can't contribute as much to the motion of hip extension, and allowing some to feel their glutes working harder rather than their hamstrings cramp. Here's the entire lock base 5 routine written out with rep ranges and time recommendation for the planks. As far as the best time to implement this, it can be used as a warm-up before working out or as a standalone routine on an off day to keep your body working optimally. I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to give this video a watch next, as it gives you a free 6-week training program with pull-ups to help you build a strong and muscular back.